for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3, just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this town. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3, just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this. Feeling good, yeah, I could taste it. I could tell that it's one of them.
What's going on, everybody? Shane McNamara here, and I have an amazing guest, Miss Nicole Barr, and 7-Figure Dog Trainer Syndicate. This is our first interview. I am super pleased and excited to have you on here, and I can't wait to get in and tell your story. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell the world about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shane, for having me this morning. Again, my name is Nicole Barr. I own Positive Duo Dog Training. We're located here in Texas City. In business, I've been open about 3 years. I've been training about 22 years. My goal for training is to be able to empower owners and handlers to really learn their dogs, learn their breed that they have, and really be able to be successful as an owner and a handler of whatever breed dog that they have. I find that that's very important.
Awesome. And how long have you been training, and how long have you been in the dog industry?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So a long time. So I've been training a little over 20 years. In total, about 23, actually. I started in the dog world, volunteering at animal shelters and working with all of my friends' dogs, my own dogs. That's really how I got started.
Wow. So how old were you when you started in the animal shelters? That was probably when you were like a teenager, right?
I was. I started volunteering with my dad, actually, when I was about 14 years old. And then I just kept doing it as I got older, and I've done it ever since. I absolutely love it. One of my favorite things to do is to go out to different animal shelters and assist them.
Awesome. So what are you currently working with, any animal shelters in the Texas City area? I mean, you're literally just a skip and a hop away from me. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You're right up on the next town. So such a small world that, you're so close. So are you still working with the shelters?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go in there from time to time and assist them with any dogs that they're having a hard time getting adopted. My idea is to help more dogs get adopted, because as we all know, when a dog's in a shelter, that's not a very familiar area for them, and they can be scared and overwhelmed. And a lot of dogs aren't going to act as they normally would, especially inside of a shelter environment.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, you could have these wonderful, great dogs that get thrown into the system, and it can break them. I've seen in many cases these dogs go into that environment and become what people deem as aggressive or dangerous dogs, and they're just put in a stressful situation. Isn't that what you see as well, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I see. I see that all the time. And once you remove these dogs from that situation and really give them, as we call it in the training industry, a job, and really start working with them, they come out of their shell, they get more comfortable. And with those basic trainings and things like that, I find that that's really important for them, because they really have something that they can show these potential adopters that they're capable of. And I really think that more people should really look into shelters when they're looking for their next pet, because getting them out of the shelter, you're really going to see what these dogs are capable of.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on to that. I've seen so many Malinois, Dutchies, German Shepherds, high drive working dogs that people think they want the bloodlines or the show lines of those dogs, and they try to put them into their homes, and then they end up into the shelters because they can't handle them. And I found countless amounts of amazing working dogs that could be, like, for me, like, trained and imprinted on drugs and explosives and things like that are in the shelters. So I think all of us, like you said, should be looking in those shelters and finding those dogs. And do the pets as well too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm the same way. I see a lot of those working lines in there too. And working lines without a job, they can
Yeah.
get very destructive, as we all know. Sometimes they can show aggression, even though that's not truly what that is. A lot of that is just nervousness and being fearful because of the environment that they're in. But when you have somebody that is passionate and really wants to take that dog out of that shelter and work with them and take that time for them, the possibilities honestly are endless with that dog, especially those working line breeds. But I would not recommend a working line breed for everybody,
Yeah.
Because they're a lot for most people.
Yeah.
But they can be absolutely amazing dogs.
Yeah. And I don't want to talk down on anyone. We never do that. But
right.
Have you seen too that within the shelters that maybe some of the employees or the people there, have you ever seen them misdiagnose dogs, like, or give them, what I'm saying is basically, have you ever seen them call dogs aggressive that truly aren't, and they're making the wrong judgments about them?
Absolutely, every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. If the dog, is barking at the entrance to the cage area that they're in or anything like that, that they automatically deem that they're aggressive, even though they're just, again, fearful. So I do see that all the time.
Yeah. So let's talk, if you want to shift gears.
Sure.
I really want to hear about your journey. So I know you started young, right? You started as a teenager. You started in pretty much it was volunteer, right? Like you're volunteering because of your love for the animals and the passion for what you do. Mm-hmm. If you could expand on your journey, the floor is yours. The world wants to hear exactly your journey from where you are, what you've been through. Just let me hear it. I'm all ears for you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to share that. So basically what started my love for dogs is I was a young kid. I want to say I was probably, honestly, about 2 years old. My dad was a police officer. He was also a canine handler.
Oh, wow.
And he took me to a breeder friend that he knew that bred Chinese Shar-Peis, which is where I got my love for that particular breed. My parents basically sat me in the floor with all of these adorable, wrinkly little puppies. And they kind of paid attention which one gravitated to me. And one in particular, a little solid black female Shar-Pei, came and sat in my lap, and she would not budge. Oh. She stayed with me the entire time. And so they picked that one for me, and they sent her away to training. So I don't know who trained her. Again, I was very, very young, but it was a canine trainer that had trained my dad's canine dog. And so they sent her to have that formal training. And when we got her back, she was about 1.5 years. So she was gone, about 1.5 years, actually. And when we got her back, I was so intrigued by what she was capable of doing, that's really where my love for dogs and training came in. So I was probably, 5 years old. When I really just got immersed into the life of having a dog and training and knowing what they were capable of. So that's where my breed favorites come in.
Yeah. Can you tell me like what all was trained on this Shar-Pei? Because listen, I don't hear anybody talking about a Shar-Pei. Like,
oh no!
In the last 10 years of doing what I've been doing, I don't hear anybody like you're the first person that's ever even mentioned Shar-Pei. Wow. Like it's not on a lot of people's minds. So like, tell me about this dog. I want to hear.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. So her name was Molly. So again, she went away for training for about a year and a half. So she did everything from bite work. She was trained in protection. She had a lot of like extreme basics, advanced basics. So kind of like your military dogs, how, you know, they'll left side, right side, you know, food spots, all of the things. She was very
wrinkly face.
Yes.
Come on. Come on, y'all. Sleeping on the Shar-Peis. Let's go.
Absolutely. You know, they're a very intelligent breed. They're naturally, instinctively protective. So you just kind of hone in on that. They're very smart. Now, they're not for everybody. They are a little hard to train, but once you get past that, they are absolutely amazing. Again, my favorite breed. Yeah. So when I was,
what year time period was this? This was in when?
Oh my gosh.
Thousands?
So this was, so I got her, she came home in 1988, I think. 87, 88 is when she came home after training.
Yeah, and that's old school. Like there was a lot of advancements in training and philosophies and things, probably more compulsion based training with corrections and things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Killer.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyways, tell me more about that.
So I could basically tell her like sit, and she'd sit, and I would tell her like I could walk her at night by myself as a kid. I was not scared. So I could tell her like if anybody like let's say I was walking her on the sidewalk and there was somebody in passing, you know, she would sit in front of me and she would just kind of basically stare at them. And if they walked next to me or to the back of me, she would walk around me as they moved to keep her eyes on them.
Was this a trained response, or was this was this a response that the dog showed and then was rewarded for, or was this actually a taught command, you think?
So as far as I know, in part it was taught, but it got more, I guess you can say, intense because of her bond with me.
Yeah.
And so she was very, very protective over me. That was my girl all through and through. Like, honestly, best dog I've ever had.
I mean, the other thing that helped, it was your father. Your father was a canine handler. How many years did your father serve?
So he was a police officer for about 35 years. Yeah. He was also in the Air Force as well.
Oh wow.
I don't
security forces in the Air Force?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his job was in the Air Force. I know he was a sergeant. I have one of his old military badges.
Yeah.
So I don't know a whole lot of exactly what he did.
If he became a cop, it's highly likely that he might have been security police in the Air Force. And back in the day, security forces, it wasn't called security forces, it was security police, and it was divided up amongst the police side and then the nuclear security side. But if you don't know, I mean, it's an easy transition to go from Air Force police to normal police, and that's why I was guessing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But would you say that he too drove some of your passion into dogs and canine and stuff? Because I mean, you were an impressionable kid watching him go to work and stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely think I was. We had dogs all throughout me growing up. Our first dog was a Chow Chow. Yeah. And then my dad had a German Shepherd that was his work dog. So I got to watch him with his dog. I don't remember, unfortunately, what that dog's name was, but I know that I watched him with that dog too. And then they ended up again getting that Shar-Pei. So I was immersed in it.
So back in the day, if you remember, did that dog stayed in your dad's partner, his canine? it was assigned to him, right? And it stayed with y'all at your house, right? Or
I think so. I remember I mean, again, I was so young. I remember seeing it very often.
Yeah.
I don't remember per se if it actually stayed full time with us, but I know I saw it often.
Just a question I was wondering how, I wanted to know maybe back how in the day how they did it, if they had a kennel facility or if they were still staying with handler. But I can see you being a kid growing up around the dogs, the Shar-Pei coming into your life. Did it ever cross your mind for you to like go become a canine handler or join the police or do anything like that? How did your journey go for where you are now?
Yeah. Great question. So that honestly never crossed my mind, is to be an actual canine handler. I guess the bite work side of it wasn't my forte, so to speak. But I knew that in some capacity, I wanted to work with dogs. I knew that from a very young age. I was probably 10 or 12 years old and knew already that in some capacity, I really wanted to work with dogs. And the more that I got to work with my Shar-Pei and my friends' dogs and, volunteer at shelters and things like that, I really knew that I wanted to not only help people, but help dogs too. And that's where my love for helping dogs out of shelters really came from. So now, like, for instance, my favorite thing to do is pull from a shelter for a client and work on that dog and do basics and things like that, and really make sure that dog is the perfect companion for them. Because at the end of the day, breed matters. Yeah.
How do you feel about genetics?
Genetics absolutely matter, 100%. And, a shelter dog, you're not going to know their genetics. All you can see is behavior, so to speak. But genetics play a huge, huge part. I hear so many times it's all about how you raise them. It's all about how you treat them. In part, that's absolutely correct. But it also comes down to, as you mentioned, the genetics of the dog. Working line dogs, most of them aren't going to be your couch potato. They're going to need that job. So genetics do play a huge part. And I think that when you're looking at a breed, I really think you should research the breed, know what it's all about, know what you're getting, make sure that they match your lifestyle, because that's highly, highly important.
And then I think when we do editing, I need to rerun that again so people can hear that fantastic quote right there. Because if people did that, we would have what? If people listen to what you just said, the impact of that would be less dogs in the shelters.
100%. 100%. Absolutely.
So who or what has been your greatest source of inspiration, and how have they impacted your approach to business or your life?
Great question. So I'm going to go back to my dad, obviously, and just seeing the way that he was with his dog, to see that dog work and really keep my dad safe. My dad came home every night, because of that dog. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so I would say that was kind of my beginning journey. But as I've gotten older, I've learned a lot about training, more so than what I did, obviously when I was a kid. But I've really started following a lot of trainers like you, and as well as a trainer out there called Tom Davis. He's with Upstate Canine Academy. I love what he does too. He's fantastic. So I think all of that, all of those inspirations is what I have to be thankful for today, and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. I think the best trainers are on a continual journey of education and constant open-mindedness and learning.
100%.
When you think you know it all, that's the problem, right? Is when you think you know it all. Always being a student of the craft is what I see from you too, you know. That's why you joined the syndicate, right? Is to be better, to learn more, to do the business side. And then we don't do a lot of training talk. We don't really get into that aspect within the syndicate, but we do, you know, heavy business and success and motivation and stuff. And that's really cool to share that about your father. It's a similar journey that I had when being in the military, and seeing the impact of the dogs and the missions that we ran and the things that we did, and then the importance of the bond between handler and dog. If you don't train to your best ability, you may not come home. So it was powerful for me to realize that I've got to master this craft. I have to get as good as I can, or I'm going to go on a deployment and get killed. And on top of that, the stories of the different hero dogs in the military that served from World War I, all, you know, World War II, Vietnam, the Korean War. And there's some tremendous stories of amazing hero dogs. And, you know, I wanted to just share my inspiration with you too, of what got me into it, is really all about the dogs and the relationship between human and dogs, you know, is what super inspired me, because I wasn't super crazy about dogs or canine when I was a kid. It happened while I was in the military, and I realized that I had a purpose to serve, and this animal was so ever loyal and trainable, and just wanted to serve me and do its job. It's an incredible perspective to see, you know, and you got to see that with your father and his working dog and the bond and pair. So I think it's cool that you and I share that commonality of the canine stuff. Really,
It is
really awesome.
It is. It's very cool. And, you know, first, thank you for your service and doing all that you did, you know, hats off to you, you know, all day, every day. So that's amazing, but absolutely. And I kind of want to reiterate what you said, about the bond between a handler and their dog. There is no other bond than you and a dog. That's why they call them man's best friend. You know, that's exactly why. And like my little Shar-Pei that I had growing up, Molly, you know, I searched when she passed away. I was about 16 years old when she passed away. Yeah, I had a lot of dogs after that, but I never had that bond again. And
yeah, she was your legend dog. She's the legend dog that you tell the stories of, that there's never another one.
That's exactly right. There will never be another Molly, hands down. I have a healer now. Her name is Celine. Super smart dog, super capable. Her and I have a great bond. She's not Molly, but I love her to pieces. She's actually my service dog. And so I trained her myself, and she's phenomenal.
Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. So let's transition, if we may, into a little bit of business stuff. What all have you been involved in within the dog industry? I mean, tell me everything that you've done. I mean, I know you volunteer at shelters. I know you work obedience and you work things like that, but tell me what else you've done. And
absolutely. So a couple of things that I do, my kind of favorite things. I like working reactivity cases. Oh, wow. I love seeing the transformation. A dog that comes in, like right now, I have a Dutch Shepherd that I'm working with right now. She is about 1 year and 5 months old. The first time I met her, she tried to eat me.
Very Dutchy-like.
Of course. She was a shelter dog. They initially told the owners that she was a lab. And I ran into them, and I'm like, that's definitely not a lab. That's a Dutchie.
It's a little-
That's a Dutchie. So our first session, again, she tried to eat me. And then now we're 6 weeks in, and people can come up and pet her. She's no longer reactive to people. She takes treats out of my hand now, and she's came a long way in 6 weeks. So reactivity is a fun thing that I like to do, just because I like to see such a big transformation. I think that's so cool. And it just shows you what dogs are capable of. My bread and butter, my absolute passion is service dogs. So mainly psychiatric dogs.
That's a purpose in life.
It is.
It's amazing.
100%. 100%.
It's very emotional.
Yes. Yes. The idea to be able to not only help a dog, but also help their handler so they can live a normal life is absolutely made of beauty and passion and just everything. I absolutely love training service dogs. It's such a beautiful thing. I've got one right now that I'm working. She's a Pomsky, super smart little dog. She's going to be a psychiatric dog for her handler. We've been working on tasks like crowd control and behavioral interruptions. And already she's helping her 16-year-old handler be able to go out into the world more than what she did before. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's no better feeling that when you help somebody that's disadvantaged or has just some bad cards dealt to them, right, with disabilities, to give them some sense of normalcy. You know, that's amazing. So that's something I say God is shining down on you.
Thank you.
What else have you done? So you do service dogs,
reactivity, basic obedience. That's about all I'm doing right now. So just kind of a wide range.
Well, I do remember that you mentioned that you've even seen the grooming side of the industry too.
Yes. Yeah. I've definitely seen the grooming side. A lot of training is involved on the grooming side, believe it or not. When you get a dog on the when you get a dog on the grooming table, I mean, you've got to think there's other dogs there. They're barking. They're having a hard time. They're away from mom and dad. Then you've got the dryers going. You've got clippers going. You've got these scissors, potentially coming to their face to clip the hair. And it can be very, very scary. I watch the groomers all the time, and I'm just like, I could never do what you do because I don't know that that's my bread and butter, but to help the dog on the table and get them prepared for that, I think is essential and very important.
How do you think that the grooming piece is to adding to business? If you were a dog training company, let's say you built your company up out of your home or residence, and you were going to put in a building that was going to allow grooming, do you think that would be a good addition to a business?
Absolutely.
Income?
100%. Absolutely. There's many dogs that need to be groomed, even just bathing. Not everybody has a big enough tub for dogs, so, and not to mention the hair that gets in the drain.
It brings another dynamic to a more full spectrum business, is having more services and stuff.
100%. Absolutely.
So tell me, I want to talk about some challenges that you've had to overcome in life. So what are some of the significant challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them? Any valuable lessons that come to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So one of the biggest, I guess, challenges that I've had, especially being a woman and being a female trainer, is going into clients' homes that are sometimes male. And you can, as a female, you can be uncomfortable in those situations, especially based on the male's, behavior or energy. And so that's been something that's been very challenging to overcome, but I'm proud to say that I have. I kind of took a step back for a little bit and started training out of, a facility versus going to houses. And now that I'm ready again, I've started going to clients' houses again.
The going to clients' housing, I think, regardless of industry, is weird because, imagine you own a cleaning service, and you go and you have to clean and bend over in front of a creep, right? Or he's just making eye contact with you, or things like that. I can definitely see how being in someone else's domain, being in their house, is awkward. It just is awkward, but it serves a purpose of convenience for the clients, because you're more likely to get the sale of the dog training package when you're willing to sacrifice and commute and come to them, which adds a level of convenience. So what have you done with the going to the, how do you handle situations where you feel uncomfortable? Let's say you get to a house and the vibe is wrong. Everything starts feeling wrong. How do you address that? Do you just make an excuse that you can't do the session? Or I'm just curious, because this is new. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other female dog trainers out there that are like, oh my God, I side with Nicole. I'm tired of going to creepy guy's house alone and try to train his dog. Please tell us. This is a great this is a great topic. I guarantee a lot of female trainers need that energy, positivity, and your information.
Absolutely. So basically what I do is if the vibe's off, I always lead with trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. I always lead with that, because I'm there to assist them with their dog at the end of the day. So I try to make sure that I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And if I don't feel comfortable going into their home right at first, I ask them to bring the dog outside and we'll work out in, let's say, in their backyard or their front yard, something like that. And that's been very helpful for me versus going actually into their houses. So I would definitely say that if you're not feeling 100% comfortable, ask them to bring the dog outside, work with them outside, of course, if weather permits. If it's too hot or if it's raining or anything like that, I tend to see if I can reschedule. I don't like doing that, but I need to be comfortable too, is a trainer and a woman, whatever environment that I'm in.
Safety is paramount. And being in a visible area in the front yard or something is better, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. So would you say that's the only challenge that you faced in dog training, is just creepy dudes at their house?
No.
Or what?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. There's a lot. So I'm what the industry calls a balance trainer. I was not always a balance trainer. I used to be positive only, actually. Ooh. I know. And I learned
some controversial talk that gets trainers riled up, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So I'm a balance trainer, and so I have found a lot of clients, a lot of owners and handlers are a little uncomfortable when us balance trainers talk about the use of tools, things like prong collars, e-collars, things like that. They get very uneasy about it. So that's a challenge, because you have to overcome that and just kind of explain to them what exactly it is, what exactly it does, how to use it properly. I always tend to ask my client, hey, can I see your arm? And, I'll show them on their arm what it feels like. And they're like, wait, that doesn't hurt or anything. I'm like, exactly. So I show them,
Yeah.
and they get more comfortable with it. And I just kind of show them, hey, dog's not whining. It's a natural type correction for them. And dogs really, learn with leadership corrections. We, is an owner and a handler, you have to be your dog's quote unquote alpha, right? Because that's what a dog thrives on. They need that. So I find using tools and introducing tools to clients can be very challenging.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's a wonderful way to overcome that challenge when you show them the reality of what truly is being given.
Yes.
That's actually a method that's used in the police. When you get assigned a taser, you get assigned mace or pepper spray. You need to know what those things feel like, so that if you're going to use those things on other human beings, you know what it feels like. And it's a good analogy because like people have demonized the e-collar, they've demonized the tools, and when they know what it's doing or how it's working and what it gives out and the different levels of settings, I think that's brilliant what you're doing, and a brilliant way of overcoming those challenges. And I think you gave really tremendous lessons and values or valuable information to some of these new trainers out there, or having people open their perspectives to different styles of training, the balanced approach, the purely positive approach, and using tools to put into their tool belts. So we know your challenges. Do you have any more that you can think of off the top of your head before we move into your successes? Because I'd love to hear your successes. And I know one of them was already the service dog, but do you have any more challenges?
So off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Those are the main ones that I face every day.
Yeah.
Those are my normals.
Do you have anything within the business world of like running a dog training company, getting started from the bare bones, scaling the business, of challenges that you're seeing or saw?
Oh, absolutely. So getting into it, right? Like I said, I had always done it on the side. It wasn't something that was, automatically just, I was professional at it, right? It was always a side thing.
Was like your side
kind of.
Yeah.
Yep. And like when I was helping my friends and stuff like that, like that was just what it was. It's just something I did for fun or on the side or whatnot. I would say learning how to get clients, learning how to market yourself, learning how to make sure that you are really truly, when you get a new client, make sure that you're playing or talking to them about what their needs are, about really, hey, let's say that their dog, every time they open the door, the dog's bolting out of the door. You don't want to talk to them about the dog counter surfing or something like that. You go and you talk about what really is plaguing that owner, so that way you can bring out the best value in yourself and fulfill whatever needs that they have in training. So absolutely. I think that's really important. But definitely marketing, things like that is challenging for anybody. I'm a trainer. I'm not a marketer. That's not my forte.
The hardest thing. That was the hardest thing for me too, was being or doing well at training, being successful and showing results is different than being a businessman, right? Or businesswoman. And marketing and scale, like all these things are overwhelming to a lot of dog trainers. I know a lot of dog trainers are facing the same challenges. So, and that probably, what made you seek out the 7-figure syndicate? How did it come across?
So I've watched you and your videos for a while, and I love what you do. We've got similar kind of ideals and things like that, which I love. And when I saw that, I just said, maybe this is what I need, because I didn't have a business background. I didn't have the knowledge maybe that other people do. to really bring my business to the forefront and really do it the right way. And so I feel like that has been something that has been absolutely great from you and your team to have that available for people. Yeah. To have that available for people that may be in a boat like mine. I mean, I may be training for a long time, but I don't know the business aspect. And so your 7-figure and the syndicate and everything has been absolutely mind blowing in business changing and helpful. So I love it. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. And I'm so happy that you're here. I know you've got a lot of successes, don't downplay yourself.
Yeah.
So what have been some of your proudest accomplishments or your most successful moments in the time period that you've been doing the dog world?
Absolutely. So one of my proudest moments is I have an older daughter. She's 19. A few years ago, she was struggling with some mental health things, and I don't want to go too much into that, but we had tried everything. And the only thing we didn't try was a service dog. And we talked to her doctor about it, and she was like, that could be a great thing, right? And I was like, okay. I had never trained a service dog before. This was about 5 years ago. I'd never trained a service dog. I'm like, okay, I don't know about this. So I started looking into how much it cost. And I said, I don't have that lying around,
Right.
like not many people do. And I talked to my husband. I was like, I think that maybe I could train this. So I started really looking into like tasks and things like that could help my daughter. And we talked about it. And I watched, honestly, some YouTube videos of those particular tasks being performed, never taught, but being performed in like an actual setting. And I was like, I can do that. I have a feeling I can do that. And we went to a shelter, the Pasadena shelter actually, and I got a black lab for my daughter. We looked at probably 15 different dogs, and we found this black lab. His name is Clover. And I started training him day one. And within about 10, 11 months of us having him, he was picking things up, I mean, unbelievably quickly. It was unbelievably quickly. And I just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and really building his drive. And honestly, my daughter now can go into public. My daughter now my daughter now is comfortable of being in the workforce now. She's got so much more confidence, and it's amazing what he has brought out in her.
That's an accomplishment on for what it's done for her, and then the accomplishment for you problem solving and figuring out bringing your training skills to another level, because I'm sure if you did it once, you can duplicate that for other people with the right dogs.
Absolutely. And it is all about having the right dog. I also trained my own service dog. Her name's Celine. As I mentioned, she's a healer and Kelpie mix. She's about 2.5 years old now. She was also a shelter dog. Yep. And smart as a whip. She's actually saved my life a couple of times, which has been absolutely a godsend for me. She's incredible. I take her basically everywhere with me. She goes to the grocery store. She's been to the rodeo with me several times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it take a lot of environmental based training to get there, or was that dog naturally pretty balanced?
She was naturally a very confident and balanced dog. So public access training is kind of what that's called. It wasn't hard. It was actually very easy. I found I didn't really need to hone in on that as much as like some other dogs I would have like my daughter's lab, we had to really do a lot of PA or public access training with him. But with her, she was so confident and so eager to please and train that I didn't have to work on all of that really hard. I focused on a lot of scent training. I focused on a lot of, the task training and our basic obedience and our advanced obedience.
Very nice. So would you say that the service dog for your daughter is your largest accomplishment because it hits home the most?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's amazing. Totally. I love seeing her. Yeah.
I totally understand. So you've got a vast knowledge of expertise. I mean, I see you're a student of the craft, constantly learning, constantly absorbing information. What specific knowledge, skills, or insight do you bring to the industry?
So I'll be honest, that's kind of a tougher question for me, because like you said, you're always learning as a trainer. Yeah. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. As long as I've been doing this, I still don't know everything. But you know a lot. I do.
Don't play yourself. You still know a lot.
Yeah, I know quite a bit. But I would say that bringing me things that I bring to the table is compassion, really.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, really compassion and love for the dogs overall, but also my love for helping people, because at the end of the day, like I'm a trainer. I feel like it doesn't matter what me as a trainer can get your dog to do. It matters what's sustainable for you at your home.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good point.
I like to, teach my clients how to teach their dog, because at the end of the day, that's what I like to bring to the table is my knowledge to owners and handlers so they can be successful moving forward, even after training's over. Because let's face it, training is lifelong. It's not just 4 weeks or 6 weeks or what have you, or one session. It's literally lifelong of the dog. Yes, so I love to be able to show those owners how to do what I do so they can be successful as owners. So I guess overall, that's what I bring.
That brings me to a good point. So are you more of a dog trainer or a human teacher? You gotta be both, right? You gotta be a dog trainer and a human teacher.
Absolutely. So I would say, honestly, like working with clients and things like that, I would say 90% of what I do is teaching the human, right? I would say about 10% is training the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
So
it's hard too, because wouldn't you say that the vast majority of people in our industry are more dog people opposed to human people? But what do you got to do? You've got to train people.
Exactly. I am not a people person at all. Like if I go to friends' houses, I'm looking for the dog.
I'm not worried about
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not a people person at all.
I'm a chameleon. I could be both. I have moods where I'm more extroverted and introverted. It's just whatever the situation depends, I turn into, what I need.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So let's see, man, this is great. You're giving such good knowledge bombs and information about your story. I always would like to touch on to see if you have any advice. It could come from your previous experiences. It could be advice to aspiring entrepreneurs. It could be advice to other trainers in the industry. Maybe just to give you an idea, one thing that I see that you're really just wonderful at is I've never seen you spread any negativity towards another trainer. I've never seen you badmouth somebody, talk bad about another person. And I just wanted to give you that as maybe a talking point too. But what advice would you give to either aspiring entrepreneurs or current trainers?
Absolutely. So as like someone coming into the business, I would say make sure that you surround yourself with positive people, people that will, not only, give you the knowledge that you may not have already had, but also someone that'll broaden your horizons, broaden your knowledge base. Surround yourself with somebody, a teacher, so to speak, like you, that really will show them the ropes and how to do things the right way. Really look into different training styles. There's not only just one training style, the four quadrants of training, right? um so there's so many different training methods out there. Balance training is not just one. Positive only is not just one. There's a vast variety of them, and really look at what, which one fits you the most, which one fits your clientele the most. Like I was mentioning earlier, I used to be positive only. I was like, I'm never putting a prong collar on my dog. I'm not using an e-collar on my dog, right? But it was because I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't understand them, right? And
Wow.
so absolutely. So I would encourage somebody, learn about those tools. Go to somebody that knows how to use those properly if you're interested, and learn the proper way. That way you have, a wide variety of things that you're able to do or comfortable with. Because don't get in this bubble where, you only want to look at one way, because honestly, that one way, I hate to say it, isn't going to fix exactly, isn't going to fix everything. A positive only is not going to fix a reactive dog. You can distract, but it's never going to fix it, because that dog really, in all honesties, needs correction, right? Because they don't know that what they're doing is bad, right? They've never been taught. So I think that that's something incoming trainers really need to look at. Also, help your clients understand that it's important to really learn the breed of dog that you're interested in. Don't just go somewhere and, oh, the dog is cute, and take it home, and then you have a dog that tries to eat people every time you walk outside, right?
Yeah.
Really investigate the breed that you want, and have your clients do that. Have them really investigate. Know your breeds as a trainer too. Know your working lines versus, your show lines, or your couch potato dogs, or, what have you, because each of those dogs need different things. All dogs should have a job, but those jobs look different for each breed.
Yeah, and the capabilities of what they can do and what's achievable with each dog is going to be different, right? Like if you find a very low drive, whatever, any breed, because there's low drive, high drive in every breed. And I've seen a lot of trainers beat themselves up with very difficult dogs with very low drive, with psychological issues, anxiety, fear, aggression, and they're trying to put too much pressure on themselves to turn the dog into an Instagram Malinois, right? That has class act genetics, and the trainer feels like they're not a good trainer because the dog's drives are too, like, just don't put too much pressure on yourselves, right? Know your dogs is what you're saying. Know what you're working with. Know how to train it.
Exactly.
That's what I got from you.
Exactly. That is exactly right. Absolutely.
How are you staying motivated on your entrepreneurial journey right now?
To be honest with you, my kids, my children. I'm a mom of 4 and a grandma. I've got a 1-year-old grandbaby.
You're a grandma?
I'm a grandma. I know. I love it. I wasn't ready, but I'm a grandma. So them definitely, and my love and passion for dogs and helping people, that's really what drives me forward every single day,
Wow,
every day. Mhm.
very cool.
Yeah.
So you got any current projects you're working on? You got any difficult dogs? You got any,
Oh boy.
what do we got? What do we got in the wheelhouse right
Oh
now?
yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a definitely a difficult dog right now. She's a 1 year old, 5 month, 1 year, 5 month old Dutchie.
Mm,
She's a whole lot. She's a whole lot. We're still working on some reactivity issues with things like moving carts, like the little buggies in like Lowe's or somewhere like that. She's not comfortable with those. It's all fear based. So we're trying to kind of de-escalate her and kind of get her used to being around those things. It's a work in progress, but she is coming along.
yeah.
I can say that she's no longer trying to eat me, which is great.
Right.
Um,
You do a lot of confidence building with those type of dogs?
Yes, you have to. You have to. Absolutely. You 100% have to. We've been working prong collar with her. It's been very, very successful. However, I'm noticing that we may need to go a little bit further. So we're actually introducing the e-collar to her.
Yeah.
That's our next step. Yeah.
Outside of dogs, business wise,
Mhm.
what are you setting your goals on?
Yeah.
Where are you moving to? I know you're working at the facility, you're starting up your own practice again.
Yeah.
Tell me about that current project and what
Sure.
your goals are, or what you're
Yeah,
trying.
absolutely. Absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm working out of a facility now. I'm working to get back to just doing it on my own. So in my 5 year goal really is to have my own facility where I train out of.
Yeah.
I really want to work some agility stuff. I really want to move further into doing service dogs.
Yeah.
I really want to be able to have a place where my clients can come, or also I can go to them too. I want to have some staff. Right now it's just me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love it. My oldest daughter likes to help me sometimes too. She's actually the one that came up with the name Positive Duo, because it's her and I most of the time.
Beautiful.
And so I'm well, not training, but I'm teaching my kids how to train dogs too, and they love it. And it's amazing to see. My oldest son, he's got 165-pound Anatolian Shepherd,
Mm.
massive dog, I mean, he's huge. I don't know if they're kind of like the cousin of the Kangol.
Yeah.
Um,
Very. Yeah, they're
yeah,
huge.
they're
Livestock guardian.
Yes, livestock guardians. He's working with him because he's a little reactive to other dogs. So I'm teaching him how to overcome that, which is pretty cool. But my goal is to have my own facility one day.
And it sounds like it'll be a family-based facility,
Yes.
family-based company where your kids are involved and they'll be telling their stories of how their mother influenced them.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. So we're about what, 15 miles apart. So anybody that's out in the Texas City region that vibes with Nicole, you use her. Not every client is a client that wants to work with Shane. You know what I mean? In Bellum Canine, people's personalities and sensitivities and just the way that they operate, they need different trainers, or they can work with multiple trainers to get different perspectives and clever analogies about training. The way that the way you teach is different than the way I teach. So anybody that's out in the Texas City area wants to send their dogs to Nicole, she's right here within 15 miles of me. And I think it's beautiful that two trainers within 15-mile radius don't see each other as like competition. There's enough dogs and people needing training that I think a lot of trainers don't realize that the industry as a whole, there is not enough dog trainers for the demand of dog training. And we don't need dog trainers fighting with each other. We need the collaboration, just like we're doing here, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You got any other current projects within your business, like setting up your marketing, doing your advertising or your business and stuff? Did you find, tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm actually working on posting more videos. That's something that I've learned watching your program. I wasn't doing that before because I'm a little awkward on video, just to be honest with you. So I'm getting used to that. I'm starting to post more videos. I'm doing a lot more like client testimonials and things like that of my skills and kind of what they're getting. I had a really great testimonial from a client about a week ago. It was beautiful. It was like 4 minutes long. It was amazing. It was actually my Dutchie that I've been working with. Awesome. So pretty awesome. But yeah, I think the marketing side and getting used to those videos and really like filming my training sessions and things like that is what I'm trying to focus on. Yeah. So I can get better and really put myself out there. Because I haven't really put myself out there enough like I should.
Yeah. And you've gotten some of this from the Syndicate?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the 7-figure. Yeah. It's been amazing. It's absolutely been game changing. So that's another thing I can say is if it's a new coming trainer, get the Syndicate, get it. Like you have to. It's not should I or anything like that. It's a have to. If you really want to know your craft and you want to build your business, get it. It's been fantastic.
Excuse me. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I know through your journey, you've probably learned a lot of lessons, right? Absolutely. Like you've been doing it a while. You've been doing it a long time. You've seen all sorts of stuff. So looking back on your journey, is there any particular lessons or principles that you wish you had known earlier? And what advice would you give your younger self if you had a chance?
Absolutely. So I would definitely say using the tools. I think that has been the most important lesson that I have learned in all the years, because I learned by using the tools that I was not only learning more about my craft, but also being able to help more dogs, help more people by being able to use those tools and get comfortable with them. So I think that the use of those tools for a lot of trainers and just owners in general, I really think that could be the difference between your dog, possibly, hurting somebody to you being able to walk your dog and being successful and your dog not being reactive. I really think that that's something that has been my greatest learning through all these years that I've been doing this is to use those tools.
What would you say to somebody, let's say the opposition, that says the tools make lazy trainers, or the tools are a crutch for lack of ability? Would you have anything to say to that?
A lot, but I'll keep it short.
No, go ahead.
So I would definitely say, to be honest with you, learn about it. Go to somebody that knows about it, like I had mentioned earlier. And also, think of it like this: if we never teach, let's say, our child that they can't just go and get candy out of the candy jar, we have to limit them. We have to give them rules and boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. So if we don't ever teach them that something's wrong, how is anybody ever going to know? If you've never been taught that something is wrong, that's how a prong collar or an e-collar works. It teaches the dog by pressure and, correction that their behavior is not okay.
At the right time. Yeah, when it's delivered in the right moment, the dog can know.
Exactly.
Got to know the 4 quadrants, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Those are important.
Yeah. So I really like that. It's basically looking back at your younger self, where you were probably more closed-minded of a trainer. You thought this is the way, or this is your emotions maybe with training were involved, and you're saying learn more, be a student, be a scholar of the industry, and keep learning, and really fully understand something forwards and backwards before you cast judgment on it, or say that that's not effective, that doesn't work, that's inhumane. Well, maybe there's ways to use it that it's not inhumane, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. 100%. Something that I teach my clients, like when I need to introduce the prong, and something I want to clarify, I don't jump right into using tools. I only use them should the dog's behavior warrant that, right?
So
we don't want to jump right into it.
It's like Correct. A doctor, like if I want to check your heartbeat, I'm going to use a stethoscope, right?
Correct.
You're going to use what you need to do what you need to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I basically, like, using the prong or introducing it for the first time, I basically kind of, I hold it up in the air, and I tell my client, I said, look, this is kind of like mama dog's teeth. I said, think about a puppy or a litter of puppies, and the mom kind of nips at the puppy to correct them if they're getting out of line. I said, the prong is basically doing just that. It's a form of kind of a natural correction. Yeah,
what you're doing is you're drawing analogies that the customers can understand, so that they can accept the tools. Otherwise, they have to understand the scope of things. So I want to move to our final topics, because we've been going for quite a while. And, I'm not rushing by any means, but I want to know your future outlook. What are your future aspirations and goals? I know you talked about it a little bit, but how do you envision the industry or landscape evolving, and how do you plan to adapt or stay ahead of the curve? So that's a 3-part question. We'll go over it again. So it's basically, what are your future aspirations and goals? And then how do you see the industry evolving? And then how are you going to stay ahead of it?
Yeah. So great question. Yeah. So I really see that the future is like going more to like online training. I can see that being definitely something that everybody's moving on to.
COVID showed us that.
Yeah. Exactly. And so future aspirations, I definitely want to be more involved in online training, Zoom training, things like that with my clients that maybe, I can't get to, or, they can't come to me, or what have you. I think that that's going to be something that more trainers will need to get into eventually. I see that that's going to be really where the industry is evolving to, is more online things, or more, hopefully, like group classes and things like that versus one-on-ones. And I want to try to incorporate all of those things as a trainer moving forward, so I can make sure to best serve the clients from now into the future, because I really think that us as trainers, we really do need to evolve. We really do need to, be ready for those changes, even like this right now, collaborating with each other, doing more of that. I see the industry going that way too, where clients or not clients, but trainers are calling each other. Hey, I've got this dog. I don't know what to do.
Beautiful.
What can you bring to the table for me? How can I do this? And I really think that's important.
Yeah, cultivating that spirit of collaboration.
Yes.
Being multifaceted with your company, online training, group classes, private sessions, giving everybody what they need. And I know we taught that in the Syndicate about in the ebook about your value ladder in your business. You have to have a value ladder of products and services and things that you do within your business to cater to everybody. I think it's really, you're ahead of the curve for sure with the online training. If people aren't capitalizing on offering online training or having people do things remote, you're missing out for sure. You're definitely missing out. Online training is huge. Do you have any goals within the syndicate currently that you're doing? I know you understand that we have different levels and tiers within the syndicate, right? The 7-figure level, starting to pay for that, is not what the person that is just starting their business needs to be doing. So
right. So mainly my main goals is getting better, is just business mindset in general, honestly. Your program definitely helps with that and gives insight to different business aspects that I honestly wouldn't have even thought of or didn't even know. Like your marketing, those strategies, the videos, all of those things together are key to any new trainer or current trainer's success. You have to market yourself. You have to put yourself out there, which is why I'm so appreciative of you doing this today, because this gives, like I said earlier, trainers like myself a great tool to kind of put ourselves out there. So it's awesome that you're doing this.
Awesome. Yeah. And once you're really going at full steam, that you have a CRM platform, that manages all of your customers, all of your social medias, putting everything into one place so that when you get all these messages and reviews and things that are coming in, you just have one app to pull up your software to see everything that's going on. And then there's so much information that I know that we give out to everybody to help scale their business from the beginning to the end. And everybody that's read my ebook knows that I wasn't just handed a whole big lump sum of money. I had to go out and I had to earn it. And I actually started my business in a basement of a house, renting out the top of the house, training 2 dogs at a time, not able to make even sometimes my mortgage, and being able to turn that into the structure of completely being broke, completely starting from the bottom and getting government contracts and building this 7-figure, training facility that's here in Santa Fe. I'm honored to be able to share it, because what's the point of the knowledge that if I can't give it to people, if I can't share it with other trainers? I think why we mesh so well too is building that environment of cooperation with each other. It makes the dog world a better place when trainers aren't fighting with each other, but they're calling each other, picking each other's brains, and they don't have an ego, and they're trying to do, because what matters the most, it's the dogs. It's the dogs and the clients and the problems that we're trying to solve for people. So, I'm so honored to have you on today's interview. Once again, tell everybody your company, your name, your location, so that if they skip to the video to the end now, they get to hear it again.
So again, thank you, Shane, for having me. My name is Nicole Barr. I own and operate Positive Duo Dog Training. I'm located here in Texas City. I come to you, and I look forward to working with you and your dog, should you find that you want to work with me, and I hope to see you soon.
Awesome, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you in the syndicate on our next, calls or meetings.
All right, Shane, thank you so much again. And I really hope you have a good rest of your day. And thank you again so much for all the things that you do. You're amazing.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it. You have an awesome day.
Thank you.